Everybody's got potential. Everybody. I want someone who knows something. Give me someone who knows their every time, because then I can turn it into something real. The key to being successful and achieving your dreams, no matter what they are, is finding something you really, really like to do and being great at it. If your mortgage rate is over 5-6%, what you should do is refinance. If you have enough cash to just pay off the entire mortgage, that's great, but in this particular case, you probably want to talk to an accountant, because depending on what state you live in, there's all kinds of different laws and rules for deductions, and so it can kind of get complicated. And as much as I'd like to give you advice, talk to your accountant's the best advice. So how do I manage my work-life balance now? It's easy. I'm rich. I do whatever I want. If I want to play with my kids, I play with my kids. If I travel, I jump on my plane. It really depends on where you are in your life. When I was first getting started, I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, and so I had no work and home balance. I was working at night as a bartender, and all I did was work. I went 7 years without a vacation, dude. That's what it's going to take. I'm not a big mentor guy. I've always been a believer that if you really want to learn something and be great at something, you have to put in the time. A lot of people look for mentors as shortcuts, when in reality, maybe they help you a little bit, maybe they help you avoid some mistakes, but when you're just getting started out in particular, it's okay to make those mistakes. And more importantly, you have to make the commitment to put in the time to learn what you need to learn to be great at something or good at what you want to be good at.
The reality is there are a lot of great products and services that are undiscovered. It's just the reality, because it's one thing to do something great. It's a whole nother thing to be able to market and sell it. Just like you went door to door, right? Yeah. Somebody had to go and do the sale. I sold door to door. When you've got something and you're more of a maker or more of a creator, you've got to go find communities where people share your interests. I mean, when we started AudioNet way back when in the 90s, no one knew what streaming was. It was called netcasting. It was called a lot of broadcasting, internet broadcasting. And that was back when Prodigy was big, CompuServe was big, the chat rooms were big, and Usenet was big. And so I literally would go into every forum and every grouping that I could find and say, hey, look, this is when we had 2 radio stations on. If you're from Dallas and you're interested in Texas sports, there's this thing called internet broadcasting, and you have to download all this different stuff. Well, it's analogous to today as well, where you can find communities and find ways to talk to people that have, the same interests as you do. And what's even better now is it's easier to proliferate, right? There's more of a net effect that's available to you if you get enough people talking about it. Using voice is one great opportunity, and I think a couple other things are going on that make voice more important as well.
So, say you're one of these businesses and you catch a little glimmer of success. How do you know there's this balance of am I actually successful? And money's one measure, but what are other measures? And when should I bail on this idea? It's a passion project that I should let go.
Everybody just defines success differently. I've always told people that if you can wake up in the morning with a smile on your face, excited about your day, knowing it's going to be a good day, you're successful. And so in terms of your business, you got to live at some level, right? But if you love what you're doing and it's not work, right? I mean, all these stories, if there's too many stories, just tell me the story, shut up. Early on, I had to teach myself how to program. And where there's basic, C++, database applications. And I would start, writing these applications for customers. And I'd start working on it. And I'd look up and I'd been sitting there for 24, 26 hours, not realizing, that I hadn't moved this whole time. I loved what I was doing. Now, I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment. I was starving, right? I had a hole in the floorboard of my car. But I knew that, there was a light at the end of the tunnel if I kept on getting better at what I did. But had I not had the financial success, I still would have loved it. I've had businesses, though, that have failed before that. And when you don't have any customers, that's your answer.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a labor of love, I tried to play the piano and the guitar for a while, and we had a band called the Not So Human Beings. There's a reason why you never heard of it.
That's awesome.
But it was a great name. But yeah, and there was a time to quit. So when you don't have any customers and people aren't reacting to it the same way you are, one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur is that we all lie to ourselves. You know, we're the best. We're the fastest, you know, the greatest, the this or the that is. If you find yourself always describing your company and how you're different in terms of ers and s, you know, you've got issues and you're probably lying to yourself. You have to be brutally honest. You have to ask yourself, if it wasn't me, if I was on the outside looking in, you know, what would I say about this company? And if you're not able to do that, that's a bigger problem. But you just have to be brutally honest.